Hi, this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach ending eating disorders using nothing but our brains. And welcome to our live feed today. I'm so excited to chat with you guys. And for those of you who are new to the community, just want to say welcome. Just so happy that you're here. And it really is an awesome place to be. A lot of times with the issue of eating disorders, whether that's overeating, binge eating, bulimia, body hate, food obsession, yo-yo dieting, all of that. Just when we think of, if I had this relationship with food for the rest of my life, is that where I'd want to be? Is that going to feel good to me? Is that going to be the person that I want to be? Is that going to give me the health that I want to? And if the answer is no, then it just means that there's more freedom available for you there. And no, that absolutely can change. I spent years of my life binge eating and bulimic and on a constant roller coaster of really feeling like I was a healthy person. But then I would do this weird thing where I would just eat a bunch of food all at once, and I didn't know what it was, and it was probably just, some weird willpower thing that I needed to figure out, and that's just so weird. So, I'll just make up for it, and, I'll work out harder tomorrow, and, I'll, be even cleaner on my diet. And in fact, it's not even a diet. I'm just really like, I'm clean eating, and, I just need to be able to lose a couple pounds before I can just, get into a rhythm sort of thing. But then after so long of that, like, there's a point where you look and you realize that this is a pattern. Like, this isn't a fluke. This isn't something that's just happening every once in a while. This is something that happens over and over and over. And it was really worrisome to me for a very long time. And it got worse. That's a thing, that it always gets worse. And I know that feeling of having no end in sight and starting to wonder, like, am I going to be a binge eater for the rest of my life? Like, am I going to be laying on my deathbed, like thinking about food? Like, that wasn't what I wanted. And I know how frustrating it can be, but I want you guys to know that you can have absolute freedom. Eating is not something that is foreign to us as humans. We have all of this noise around us, that the world tells us, like, oh, you've got to learn how to eat, and you've got to learn the way for you to eat, and you've got to, find out how to do it right for you. But eating is an incredibly natural thing. The thing that makes it seem so difficult is because our eating gets disordered because we get all this other stuff in the way. We get these ideas in our head about, oh, this is the right food and this is the wrong food, and, I'm not eating right if I do this, and, I have to eat this way to manipulate my body. And when all of that goes out of the way, it is incredible how quickly your body just goes back to what it's always known how to do, which is eat. And I want you guys to know that absolute freedom is possible. I'm not talking about like willpower freedom. I'm not talking about like, hey, you can go the rest of your life and be able to not binge because you know how to fight it, and you know how to be able to, stop yourself from doing it and say no. It's literally a desire change. It's where you don't want to binge anymore. I have no desire to binge. If I was just in the house by myself and food had no calories for the next 24 hours, I would have no temptation to binge. It is very unpleasant to eat more than what makes sense to my body, because why would I? And that was such a foreign idea and something I didn't even know was possible. But in the pursuit of that, there is a huge thing that comes up that really gets us stuck, that if we're not able to realize the myth of this, it can keep us stuck in this cycle forever, because it turns into the illusion of feeling like things are better, the illusion that we're getting farther, when in fact we're just getting farther and farther away from freedom. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So feel free to, make comments if you guys have had this experience, or just say hello. Feel free to hearts and smiley faces and all that stuff. And, feel free to just, be part of this, because that's what these live feeds are for. I would just record a video and then put up a video if I want to just tell you something. But this is really a chance for you guys to interact and say hello, and we're building this amazing community together. So thank you for being here and welcome. So fun to see you guys on. So today we are going to talk about the myth of making it click. This idea that you just need to, get things in place. You just need to, make things click. Like, you're almost there, you're almost there, you're almost there. And I have seen women go for 30 years trying to make it click and trying to just get to that place where they found just the thing that they needed. So we're going to really take a dive into that today so you understand what that is, you understand the myth around that, and then what to do to be able to avoid that so you guys can be able to get free. So again, welcome you guys. This is Lydia, the lifestyle coach ending eating disorders, and let's get into it, like the myth of making it click. So what this is that it's this feeling of, okay, I'm almost there, right? Like I'm almost there. Like I know more than I used to. Here's what we get lulled into, is the idea that, oh, I know more than I used to, so that's a good thing. Knowledge is a good thing. I just need to keep on, doing more and finding out more. Oh, these are great questions. I love this. Okay, you guys, yeah, keep on popping in your questions and we'll pop back to that in a second. I want to make sure to get you this great content and then love the interaction. So keep the questions coming. Okay, so there's this missing piece, right? Like you feel like, okay, there's a missing piece. What I need, oh, I found a new blog. Okay, I just need to read, this blog. Oh, okay, like this is great stuff. Oh, this is the video that I need. This is gonna make it click. Oh, okay, this book, this is gonna make it click. And this idea of making it click is like something is going to magically happen with a new piece of knowledge that will set us free, that will finally get it, that will finally understand it, and then we'll be free and we won't want to binge anymore, or we'll know how not to because we just got this piece of information that we needed. And then we see all these other people, right? Because people love to describe their experience this way, but what we don't see is behind the curtain of exactly when you felt like it clicked, how long did that last? Because there's this phenomenon that happens when people get new information. There's this placebo effect where like, oh my gosh, I found it, it clicked. And then people love to make declarations of like, now I'm free and now I'm done. And that's why you see like, all these book reviews or whatever, like, oh my gosh, this just made it click and this was the thing. And then I never binged again. Let's go and follow up with all those people 6 months later, 4 weeks later even. And let's see if it really stuck, because that feeling of making it click isn't lasting. And then that elusive making it click a lot of times never happens in the first place, but then we start comparing ourselves to people. And we start saying like, oh, look at everyone else. Everyone else just found that thing for them and it made it click and now they're done. And so that's what I need to do. I just need to keep on pursuing more things that are going to help me to make it click. And you think that everyone else is fine and everything else, this is click. Everyone else, has these things clicking for them and they're all cured. And what's wrong with me? Because it's just not clicking for me yet. And we put that big yet on the end. And then we keep on telling ourselves that if we just keep going. And I definitely had some insights. I had some things click for me. I mean, I had things click for me all the time, but it didn't make a difference long-term in really setting me free. So I'll give you guys an example. So when I was in my crazy days, I was binge eating, I was bulimic at that point. I had a day where I had let myself, I blew today anyway. Like, today's blown. I'm just gonna, let myself have what I want. And then I'm gonna start over tomorrow because obviously today doesn't count. So I came across this bag of trail mix and I only ate a little bit because I'm not going to go and just eat a bunch of trail mix. Like, that's not okay. I'm a healthy person. So I just ate a little bit and then I just ate a little bit more. And then I just ate a little bit more. And this is a big bag of trail mix. And I kept on having the amount that was so reasonable and so healthy. And well, since today is, in the garbage anyway, I can have a little treat. I had a little treat like dozens of times. And then it hit me and I felt so sick. I felt so sick. And this was the phenomenon that would happen, is like I would sort of be numb to it and then all of a sudden I would wake up to it and I'd be way overly full and I'd feel completely disgusting and my stomach would be distended and I was just in physical pain. So I remember like laying there on the couch and feeling like I was just in incredible pain and disgust, and how did I do that? And then like looking at the bag and seeing how much I'd actually eaten, just a little handful at a time. And I was just like so disappointed in myself. And I was at someone else's house Because I used to binge in front of other people. Very embarrassing, I know. But when you're out of control, you're out of control. So I saw on their coffee table this yoga magazine. And since I was just like incredibly ill and laying on the couch, I decided to, flip through this yoga magazine to try to make it look like I was sitting and looking at a yoga magazine as opposed to just physically suffering because I had just eaten an entire bag of trail mix. So I'm flipping through this yoga magazine and there's this article, and I felt like this article changed my life. It was an article about overeating and how overeating is really about not trusting that we're cared for. It's about not being able to say, oh, this is enough. It's gluttony. It's like, real calm, the yoga life is like, just trusting that you have enough and not needing excess and living as, a minimalist because you trust the universe will take care of you and you have this abundance mentality. And I was like, yeah, I think that I don't have an abundance mentality. That's probably something that I need to work on. Oh my gosh, this is totally clicking with me, right? And then it dawned on me, this is what's happening with food. It's that I don't trust. Why would I ever eat more than I needed in the moment if I had a trust that I would be taken care of? That's what this is. And I'm dramatizing this because this is a myth. None of this ended up being true. None of this ended up helping me. But in the moment, I'm like, this is it. It clicked. I finally understand. Oh, this is just because I don't trust that I'm taken care of. I just need to work on my trust issues. I just need to work on really understanding that I'm going to have enough. And then why would I ever want to eat more than I needed to? Why would I ever eat a whole bag of trail mix if I thought that I could have more later, if I really trusted that I'd be cared for? I understand it now. Oh, this clicked. I'm so glad that I hit rock bottom so that the universe could leave me this yoga magazine with this amazing article about my gluttony. I really, really, really understand it now. It clicked. I'm done. Oh, I'm so grateful. And I took the magazine and I asked if I could borrow it. And then I copied the article and then I put it in a file and then I was going to send it to other people. And like, this is it. This is it. This is it. It clicks. And then, knowing all this, really feeling like I understood it now, really feeling like it clicked, I binged again. And now it wasn't like, oh, I don't know why this is happening. I feel like that clicked for me. And so I did know why it was happening, and I still did it. And there are, it feels so bad to be doing the things that you now understand how bad they are and still seeing yourself do that. You can't claim ignorance. You can't claim that it didn't click. Oh, I had something click for me and I'm still doing it. So something must really, really, really be wrong. And this is why the myth of looking for something to just make it click is so deadly, because it just actually makes us feel worse and worse when we still do it, because the click doesn't make us stop long term. So it's really hard to fall once we're on this high of feeling like we're cured and we just found that magical piece of information. And so you have this growing knowledge all the time because you're ingesting all these videos and all these blogs and all these books, and you're understanding nutrition and you're understanding eating disorders and you're understanding emotional problems. And all it is it's making you feel worse and worse when you keep binging. Because now you're not just binging. Now you can be standing up in the kitchen, eating peanut butter and knowing exactly what all of this is doing to your body, and knowing exactly how emotionally messed up and knowing how spiritually messed up this is. And now it's not just that you're binging on food. Now it's that you're going against your PhD in nutrition and eating disorders and personal development. And so it feels really bad and it feels worse. And in fact, sometimes it just feels so bad that the only thing in front of you to comfort you is more of that thing that you're eating. And it keeps you on this hamster wheel forever because we're constantly looking for that one thing. And what if you never find it? What if it is a complete myth? What if that one thing to make it click, just finding that magic, was never going to happen? Would you want to spend the rest of your life looking for that and investing in that? And I am so happy to be off of that roller coaster. But the thing that keeps us on it for so long is because we keep on feeling like we're almost there. So here's what we need to do, you guys. The issue is that we're focusing on information instead of transformation. More information, more intellectual knowledge never helps us to actually make real change. It's the transformation of the action of what we do that actually makes the difference. And when I realize this, and when my clients realize this, it's like, oh, okay. Like they understand that, but then they put the things into practice that makes it lasting, because you have to make that lasting change. You can't just rely on a moment where it feels good and where it clicks. You have to have a process that you know works to really change this long term, to rewire your brain, to change your desires. And then nothing is sustainable as just doing what you want. And if you don't want to binge anymore, that's very sustainable for not binging. So thinking that more knowledge is not the answer. I mean, if it was just that I needed to know enough, I would have been done with my binge eating long before I actually was, because I knew everything. I was a health coach and I had all this knowledge, and I had read all these books and I'd done all this development. I mean, I could teach people. I've had so many of my clients tell me, like, I could write a book on how to end eating disorders, but I still had an eating disorder. So that was the big disconnect. But what if we just did what we needed to do, the actual action, and that's the answer. It's sort of like riding a bike. You can go, and if you really want to be able to ride a bike, you can read 100 books on how to ride a bike. You can watch 100 hours of YouTube videos about how to ride a bike and all the best methods and how you do it. And you can spend years of your life researching and getting really knowledgeable about how to ride a bike. But if you're not on a bike riding a bike, you're never gonna really have that skill. And you can have someone who doesn't have any sort of knowledge about how to ride a bike, and they just get on a bike and they just start doing it. And because they're having the actual experience, because they're in the actual process of learning, then that's something that gets them the skill, that gets them to be able to go to that place where they are tangibly being able to do it. So to give you guys an example, like with our clients, we have women in the program that, I mean, they are super knowledgeable in neuroscience. I mean, like, I have literally coached women who are experts in eating disorders. Like, they're therapists who help people with eating disorders, and they've secretly been bulimic for like 17 years. Like, it's one of these things where we have women that are extremely intelligent and knowledgeable about all of this stuff. And they get just as good results as the women in our program that really don't know anything about this, that are just waking up to the fact that, oh my gosh, maybe it's not just this weird thing that I'm alone in. Maybe I have an eating disorder, and then they get the help that they need. And they're literally coming in from square one. Like oh, what is bulimia? What is binge eating? What is overeating? Like, they're literally coming with a clean slate. And when they get into the same action, they see the same results either way. That's just a testament to, it's not about the knowledge that you have. It is really about being able to understand, like, what the action is that you need to be in. It's the mechanics, right? Like, a mechanic doesn't drive a car any better than I do. Like, I don't know anything about cars, right? But when you know how to drive it, so it's not about the information, it's really about the transformation. So if you guys, let's look at a couple of these questions here. So I would love to answer them here, or you can go to our Beat the Binge Facebook group, and we can discuss that more there as well. We have great discussions that are going to be going on in there, and then we can also do more live feeds on them if we don't have time for all of our questions today. But yeah, okay, so really great question about, if somebody has, PCOS, and they need to get their, sugars under control, like, how do you do that, right? So the number one thing is to stop doing what makes it worse. A lot of times the things that we do to try to make things better, like more control, or, well, I just need to not eat that, Because intuitively we think, well, I just need to do less of that. I just need to keep myself from doing that. That actually drives up our cravings and makes it worse. So if you haven't seen the masterclass of the 5 elements to end binge eating, then that would be a great one, because we talk about this principle in there. So it's really about turning around the intuition. Like, deprivation drives cravings. And so if you want to get your sugars under control, it's about stopping the things that make sugars more appealing. And so we talk about that masterclass. So I would definitely refer you to that, because absolutely, I mean, we've coached women with PCOS, we've coached women with diabetes, we've coached women with all sorts of health issues, with severe food allergies, and none of that matters, because we're doing this from the inside out, right? Like, we're using your brain to be able to really fix your desires and end this habit that you're in. And then from that place of health, your body is really good at healing. But when we try to take it from the opposite approach of like, okay, well, I just have to, like, you know, eliminate all of this stuff, just do an experiment. Look at your behavior. When you tell yourself, okay, well, I've got to get my sugars under control, so I'm never going to eat pasta again, I'm never going to eat sugar again, I'm never going to have dessert again. Look at what you actually do in like the next 3 to 4 weeks. What you actually do, or until you fall off the wagon, right? And then it's that same principle as we know so much. And then when we know that we really, really shouldn't have this, then it makes it even worse when we are having it. So this happens all the time with our diabetic clients, is them being able to flip this script here, where before it was like, oh, okay, I shouldn't be eating sugar. And then they find out they're diabetic, and then it goes into this place of, I can't eat sugar. Sugar is killing me. Sugar is the enemy. And then it feels really, really bad when what are they binging on worse than ever? Sugar. And so we've got to find a way to flip that around. And that's exactly what I walk you through on the five elements to end binge eating. On the masterclass, we go into that. So yeah. Oh, really good question. So we have another great question about this. Can this also be for disordered eating, not just binge eating? Yes, absolutely. So binge eating is just another name for disordered eating, right? So it's really, you know, it's a rose by any other name. I'm so glad you asked this question, because we get this question a lot of like, oh, well, I'm not a binge eater, I'm just an overeater. Okay, you go to this place of, if I had this relationship with food for the rest of my life, is that the life I want to live? And it's about changing your relationship with food, and it can come in lots of different forms. I mean, for some people, it's more of like a traditional eating disorder like bulimia. And for some people, they're going to call it emotional eating. They're going to call it, you know, just being a food addict, being a sugar addict, you know, all of these things. Like, you know, whatever you're calling it, just look at, is this a relationship with food that I want to change? Oh, thank you guys for saying thank you. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for being here and being part of this community. It's such a beautiful thing. And yes, we've got some awesome just, you know, comments on the side about, you know, different books, that sort of thing. And I actually have a video about, I think, 8 books that will change your life. And that's actually one of them that was mentioned here. So there's some really, really great books out there. But again, knowledge is awesome. But the whole theme here, the myth that we're busting today, is that more knowledge, although it's wonderful, doesn't make change. It's the action with the actionable steps that work that make that lasting change. You may feel better for a minute once you have this new spark of knowledge, but just be aware. Just do that test, right? Okay, I read this awesome book. Is my disordered eating gone long term? Oh man, I love this blog. Is your disordered eating gone long term? If the answer is no, then that's just data. It's just data. None of this is in theory. I'm not telling you guys this because it's like, oh, here's my theory about how to end eating disorders. We have ended hundreds and hundreds of eating disorders long term. Like, we're done. And so the things that I'm telling you guys on these live feeds, like the things that I teach you, like the things in our program, like all of this is based on the data of what actually works to end eating disorders. It's not just based on, hey, here's some knowledge and here's some theory, and then I'm spitting it out to you guys. It's, hey, with the hundreds of people that we've helped be free, there is one woman that graduated a little while ago, 40 years of binge eating, and she was absolutely done in 3 to 4 weeks. After 40 years of binge eating. It's the principles that really work that is everything that this is based on. So I want you guys to know that whatever you hear here is data-driven, it's experience-driven from what actually works and what actually happens. So yeah, love it. Oh, so fun to see you guys here. Tune in again for another live feed soon. Again, this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach. And what you can do if you want some help with this, if you want to really get on the right track and know where you're missing step and what you really need to do, just pop over to lydialifestyle.com/apply. And we have a team where if there are still some spots in the next 48 hours or so, you can pop in there and you can actually book a free session with our team where we're going to get crystal clear on a few things. Number one is the real reason why you keep in this cycle of disordered eating. The other thing we're going to get clear on is really what is your vision of freedom for you? What do you want? A lot of times we're not clear on that. This is the foundational stuff that we need. And then the third thing is any sort of missing pieces that you need to be free. And so we're going to get clear on those three things, and we do these sessions for free. You can go to lydialifestyle.com/apply, snag a session. We're usually booked out. They go very quickly. So I would pop over to that as soon as possible. And if you find a spot that works, grab it. And then we will talk to you and be able to help you apply these principles for you specifically. So this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach. Thank you guys for tuning in, and mwah, bye.